Something dark and. You get out of the. That's so much money. I'm gonna contact her. She knows that. I've had several requests. We can call those $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh.
Is there any adjustments to the agenda? Public comment. The school board endorses the concept that community participation in the affairs of the school is essential to improve the quality of education for its students. To be eligible to address the board, an individual should reside within the school unit, be an employee of the school unit, or be invited by the board or superintendent to speak. The board shall give due attention to comments and contributions from the audience, but shall not be expected to respond or take immediate action. Immediately. Audience inquiries, other than simple questions, shall be referred to the superintendent, who shall investigate or consider the matter and report to citizens and to the board. If the board action is indicated, the item may be included in the agenda for a subsequent meeting. Comments will be heard for no longer than 3 minutes per person. Do you have any public comment? Nobody else, yeah. That's right, I don't see any. Approval of minutes, can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the school board meeting December 2nd, 2025, barring any errors or omissions. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0.
Okay,
Payroll warrant.
I'd like to make a motion to direct the superintendent of schools to authorize payment by the town treasurer to each of the party listed herein, the sum set against each name contained in the following school payroll warrants. Page. December 18th, 2025, PR 26-13, $145,331.59. PR 26-13D, $80,605.92. Main PERS 26-19, $262.46. GLI November 2025. December 31st, 2025, PR 26-14, $140,000, $437.53. PR 26-14D, $78,470.53. Main PERS 26-19-2, $40,190.14. TCMIL November 2025. Main PERS 26-20, $9,849.75. PLD November 2025. January 15th, 2026, PR 26-15, $139,459.48. PR 26-12D, $78,976.33. Main PERS 26-21, $15,516.42. PLD December 2025. Main PERS 26-22, $279.40. GLI December 2025. Main PERS 26-23, $60,657.35. TCMIL, December 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Payable warrant?
Motion to direct the superintendent of schools to authorize payment by the town treasurer to each party listed herein, the sum set against each name contained in the following school payable warrants. December 18th, 2025, AP 26-18, $26,696.40. AP 26-19, $112,000, $820.33. SA 26-12, $7,750.12. December 31st, 2025, AP 26-20, $94,015.95. SA 26-13, $7,623.83. SJSHS student account. SA 26-14, $6,244.97. SHS KFCU scholarship. SA 26-15, $4,000 Sarah J. Thompson scholarship. SA 26-16, $633.03, GSS student accounts. January 15th, 2026, AP 26-21, $26,696.40. AP 26-22, $40,375.70. SA 26-17, $5,423.75. SHS student accounts. SA 26-18, $2,000, SHS KFCU scholarship. SA 26-19, $4,000 Sarah J. Thompson scholarship.
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor? 5-0.
And that's where all the money,
Student extended learning opportunities, you have a presentation? You're up.
So we have an update we were going to give, and then we have a student presentation that's going to follow our. So we were going to start with just giving like a brief overview. We try to regularly come and do updates. It's now myself and Margot who are taking on the ELO program. We've grown the program over the year. We are now serving more than 30 students. That's in the capacity of both individualized ELOs and group ELOs. So the experiences of students in the program vary depending on which ELO experience. Some major recent updates are around our community partners. So we have a joint program with our nutrition department. They have a student assistant in the kitchen who's working with them, getting paid for his work. We're working on that with him, but he is learning a lot in working in the industrial kitchen. The Katahdin Higher Education Center, we're working with them on offering more opportunities to students in terms of classes and trips and tours. And then the Millinocket Memorial Library, we did have a student who completed an ELO last summer. She wrapped up her ELO with a project that she created a mural of the library. And she gifted this mural to the library. So it's on display if you wanted to go check it out. We have 2 students who've completed 2 credits up to now in the ELO program. So they're also earning academic credits. We anticipate 5 more credits will be earned by the end of the school year. And so we have credit bearing ELOs that are ongoing. Those students get a lot more hours and attention and direction. And then we have students who will come in and get help with career-based questions like sending an email to a potential employer or these types of things. So there's a variety of different services that are offered. We're really excited about the spring. We're focusing more on bringing group-based opportunities for students now that we've locked in our credit-bearing students. So we've got a pretty long list and growing list of opportunities, including some trips that we'll take students. We're taking, the next trip is to DBI in Lincoln. So students who are interested in welding will have a chance to tour their facility. We've got a New England Outdoor Center Career Day that's planned, where we'll take a group of students to that facility, and they're going to rotate students through different careers that are there. We have Passive House Maine coming and doing a presentation in March. Maine Motor Transportation Association has a trailer that they take students through an activity, and it's super engaging, and we're hoping to get as many students through 8 through 12 through that over 3 days. So that's a pretty big offering. A wilderness first aid course is going to be offered to our students for free. So that will be a lot of the outdoor ed students that hopefully will take advantage of that. And all of these, if anybody wants a copy of this, by the way, I have copies if you wanted to look at the opportunities coming up, are free for students. So that's one of the things that is really exciting for us.
Yeah, do you want to add anything? I don't know, they did it great.
And Margaret's new and I'm really enjoying having her on the team.
Likewise.
And
Chelsea's a great teacher. I've
so-
learned a lot in the past 2 months, so it's been great. This is a really amazing program. I'm super happy that Stearns has adopted this. I think it's so impactful for students and it's really special to be a part of it. So I'm super thankful for that. So, yeah. If you guys have questions about any of these, we certainly are willing to answer.
yeah, if you want, we can take questions and then we'll give Andrew the floor.
Just a reminder for everybody to, if it hasn't been like something on your thoughts lately, but this is all part of the grant and we're one of 5 school systems who are participating in this grant. There's a lot of trainings that they've been able to attend. There's also a lot of rules, which Chelsea and I and now Margot it seems like we discover a new rule every time we turn a finger. Because what was billed to us, sold to us as this pretty decent lineup of things that we could spend funds on has actually tightened up pretty much. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just something that we really had to navigate how we do group ELOs, because originally you heard me say that we have the vans and we want to get some exposure for our middle school kids. And that's really been a challenge. It's really not the focus that the grant wanted to go with. But I think this is wonderful because it really has been kind of interesting to navigate and they've done a great job.
And I'll expand a bit on that. It's a workforce development grant coming from the Department of Labor. And
Yeah.
the reason why we can't do a lot of middle school activities is because the students have to be eligible to work. So that really looks at like 16 plus. The younger students, 14 to 16 can also participate, but there's a little bit more around that gives us limitations. So, but that doesn't mean that we can't look for creative ways to include those younger students in what we're doing, and we're always exploring that.
And one of the things, in addition to having a workforce experience, is to be ready for that workforce experience. So like it might be resume writing, interviewing skills, just some of those soft skills that these ladies are going over with some of the students. And also barriers that might keep somebody out of the workforce, like by their clothing. If they needed, like jeans with reinforced knees or steel toe boots or things like that, the grant allows those things to be purchased.
Yep. Yeah. And there are a couple of our students who are in ELOs that are directly working with other students. So that's kind of like one of those indirect effects. So I know that one of our students is right now really hoping to get the school newspaper back up and running and is going to go do presentations with the middle school to hopefully get them interested and excited about that type of thing, so that the student's a senior, so they want to leave behind a bit of a legacy there. So lots of exciting stuff. I'll introduce you to Andrew, if you don't mind him. Andrew got started with the ELO program way back in the spring, where because you were already doing something that was like an ELO with the town. And so it was a natural fit to start working with him as an ELO student. And it's evolved over time based on your career goals. He's currently doing an ELO at the school. So I'll just let you talk about that and
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Hallett. I'm a current senior at Stearns Senior High School. And thanks to Ms. Arrett and Ms. Stevens, I have been able to be part of a ELO named Experiential Military Readiness. And what this allows me to do is have a block in my school day that I can dedicate to working to further my growth in the military. As I want to pursue that in my career, I found myself struggling with how involved I was with performing arts and how much I had during the day. So I was finding a lot of roadblocks when I was going towards my path of enlistment. And what this ELO allowed me to do was broaden my outreach, allowed me to get some time with my recruiter. I worked with him pretty heavily in the beginning months of the school year to help me further my enlistment. Thankfully, after a long struggle, I'm finally enlisted in the Army, main Army National Guard as a private. It has also allowed me to reach out to members of other National Guards, like the Air National Guard. I Jared Robbins over there, who's also in IT field and like I'm going on. So I was able to discuss the National Guard, what it's like, and get some experience with networking and all the grand IT stuff. But all in all, it has been a wonderful experience. Throughout it, I have received some money off of federal grants that were given to these workers underneath the guard just for working out and broadening my outreach of military. And I've also received some clothing and other uh, accessories to help me be able to continue growing and working as I build upon this good old ELO. So
I'll add a little bit. So Andrew was able to get paid for his ELO, and that wasn't directly from our grant, but it was a connection that was made between another Department of Labor grant and our program. So that's something that we've signed a lot of students up for, and it's 75 hours of minimum wage at a workplace, and it's very supportive of ELO programs in schools. So it's not there's not a lot of requirements around what that workplace is. I just have to send what their ELO experience is focused around, what the goals are. Andrew's been great to work with, and this is also, he's getting a grade for this presentation. I've mentioned that. So, part of the ELO program is that we can be very creative about how students are receiving credit and the grades that they're receiving, and work with the student on what that is going to look like, what their projects will be, and what the end product will look like.
So if we'd have known that you were getting a grade, everybody in this room could have had a sign.
What branch of the military is that? Yeah.
That army, I think, didn't they?
Any questions?
I'm gonna ask a quick question. What branch of the military do you want to go in?
Army National Guard.
Army. Okay. I know there's a person sitting over there that was a lifer in the Air Force. He could probably talk, Air Force, wasn't it? He could probably talk to you.
Jared's one of my students too.
It's a vicious circle.
Drag another in there.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, this is to see if the board will approve the revised food service manager's job description. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any discussion on that? None.
Were we talking about how it was already in the collective bargaining
Yes,
as a position, so
Yes.
there's no need for changes that way, and it's just basically,
right.
okay.
So just to fill you in a little bit more, we had an employee get done, and so vacate a position. And instead of put somebody back into that same role, we decided to just continue to look at how we're strengthening that department. But in order to do that, even though those positions already existed, we wanted to bring in line the job description as we have with the other job descriptions we've been bringing before you over the last few months. So this just kind of tightens that up, makes that so it works for the actual position.
All set? All in favor? 5-0. See if the board will approve the first reading of the following policies.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of the following policies. New policies, HA negotiations, goals, priorities, and objectives, IE organization of instruction, revised policies, IBEA English as a second language, ESL LAU plan, ID school day, IGA curriculum development and adoption, IHA basic instruction program.
Second.
Are you getting a second? Any discussion?
Well, I know during our negotiation sessions that we should highlight what the changes were, if there's any changes, if there's no changes. So that's something we got away from, I think. So can you just go down through each one and say what the changes are?
So, the policy committee, did meet to go over these and, so the first one is a new policy. So there's no changes.
Mhm.
You know, it's just a brand new policy, and it really basically just says that we're going to follow labor relations law. Second one is organization of instruction. Also, that's a new policy, first read. Kevin, is that the one,
Which one?
the organization of instruction, the IE? Is that the one where you had said before that, or was that the curriculum? No, that was the curriculum one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a curriculum one. So this is a new policies, for the district. One that was presented last month.
Okay.
IDEA, the LOUD plan, Millinocket had a LOUD plan, which is, supporting students with a second language. And it was last reviewed in 2011. So essentially, this whole document is new. So if we want to highlight things that are new, it's essentially the whole document, because since 2011, almost every word has changed. There's a lot more regulations from the state of Maine and from the federal level. The next one is, school day, high school, junior high, elementary level. This talks about the, number of minutes in a period, the number of teaching periods, the number of instructional hours. A lot of this is dictated by, 20A or the Department of Education. And we didn't
Right.
change anything, right?
No,
We didn't change anything.
just, yeah, we decided not to yet change it.
No problem. On the next one, IJA, curriculum, development and adoption. The conversations we had here were around the fact that annually we have to sign off on our, school approval. And so there's always a question in there on if it is in progress, if it is done, or if we're not doing anything. And so we have been able to, faithfully say that we're in progress as we continue to move forward. We also looked here at the guiding principles and the fact that that's becoming more and more of a common language with between our students and teachers on the why we're teaching things. The next one, basic instructional programs, goes along with the same idea, more conversation around the guiding principles and names. Learning results, the learning results are what we are to be teaching. It's like the goals for every content area, every grade level, every grade span. And the last one is the school board shall adopt and direct the general course of study in all curricular areas, K-12. And that was last.
Think you are.
I'm
96.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
That was like a really old one.
Yeah, yeah, no. Say it again. Yeah, that one we did.
All right. Okay, vote on that, please. All in favor? And all. And next one is to see if the board will approve the adoption of the following policies. The motion,
Motion to see if the board will approve the adoption of the following policies. To approve the adoption of the following policies, new policies. GCS Professional Research and Publishing, GDAA Support Staff Positions, GDF Support Staff Employment, and revised policies GCSA Employee Computer and Internet Use, GCSA-R Employee Computer and Internet Use Rules, GCSB Employee Use of Social Media, GDA Central Office Hourly Clerical Staff.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Five all.
And this was discussed last meeting, right?
Right, I was just thinking, was there anything else, Julie or Kevin, that we wanted to think about those?
Nope.
I think those were the ones we were really confident in.
With
When we
the-
had
yeah.
discussion prior, and these were the ones that were adopting as new policies that we felt, confident moving forward with.
Good. If the board will approve deleting policy IH curriculum.
Make a motion to delete the policy IH curriculum.
Second.
Any discussion? None, all in favor? Five all. Hey, student representative report, student representatives, Madison Fox.
Stern's store class has created Stern's Minutemen apparel. Clothing is entirely created by students and can be found on the school's Facebook page. And seniors are well underway applying for colleges and the workforce and being accepted. The acceptance board of where students are attending is across from that office.
And junior student representative, our new representative, Marlon Anderson.
One act has started up again and they're performing two fronts. Shofar has also started up again. High school is performing Grease and middle school is performing Descendants. I don't remember the exact number, but I think the high school shofar had around 14, and I don't remember middle school, but they had, yeah.
Do you find time for either of those?
Thank you, Molly. There's no report from educators. Business manager, Ron McCasey.
Okay, the budget update, expended through December 31st, 2025, we've spent $3,577,841. It's roughly 40.81%. The balance of $5,222,072.90, roughly 59.19% remains. We're halfway through the fiscal year. And on average, so far this fiscal year, we have spent $596,306. It's slightly up from last fiscal year, which is like $555,000. At this time frame. I started this year working on the W-2s, actually doing those today when I was a little bit late. I hope to get those out by the end of this week or first of the next week. And then we started collecting, I'm attending a collective bargaining agreement workshop with Drummond Woodsum on January 22nd. And the town council has reached out to set a date for the FY 27 school budget for April 23rd. I hope to bring the first draft to the board for the February board meeting.
All right, thank you. IT director, Jared Robert.
Hello. Everybody should have the report in front of them. If you don't, I just have 3 bullets. The bottom 2 are very day-to-day stuff. Continuously working with teachers and staff to fix various issues and maintaining and referencing a living resolution database. The first one is working to have the E-rate funded network upgrade set up and autonomous for my departure. I'm going to talk a lot about this one. My previous board reports, I almost decided to backpedal on that just a little bit. just because I didn't think it was gonna be possible for me to get everything set up beforehand for that big financial push and paperwork push for my departure. However, I have managed that with a new E-rate consultant, goes by the name of Brandon. Him and I have put in a lot of front-loading work to get everything set, starting today. To get everything set up, so when I come back, which is in May, on the report, I'll be set up to start everything, hopefully, if everything goes right with payment processing, to get everything done during the summer. That way there's no actual interruption of the school year and teachers and classrooms and all that. Got some cool numbers here. We get E-rate in 5-year contracts. They call them buckets for some reason. Our last 5-year bucket had $75,000. However, there was no plan in place for that bucket, so we actually ended up using 0 of it. A big worry of mine that we wouldn't get that money back for this year. However, that is completely alleviated because we were awarded $88,000 for this 5-year bucket. I plan on using every cent of that. The first big plan that I'm going to try and push for this season is a $75,000 E-rate pitch or bid is what they call it. We get an 80% discount. So even though it's 75 quoted, we only pay 15,000, which is incredible. Even have some more beautiful numbers about what we're going to try and do for our networks. We have estimated 1,400 feet of fiber, various amounts of Cat6 patch panels. We also are refreshing all of our end-of-life switches, get those out of there because those can become a problem in the future. I've also noticed some dead ports. I may have talked about that recently. Some dead ports on our switches. We're just trying to clear out all the older inventory. That way, for times when I do have to leave like this, there's nothing kind of weighing on my mind where, oh, I probably should have upgraded that switch. But try and front load a lot of this. So this year is going to be a big push. We're also going to add a second smart zone, which a lot of this might sound like Hebrew, but the smart zone is going to enable a lot of troubleshooting alleviation in the future, which is obviously a goal of mine because some of my work is done remotely as well. I think that is mostly it. For the summer, love that. I do have plans for the next E-rate. After this is done, we'll have roughly $24,000 left in that bucket for the next 4 years. And I already have plans for a restructure of networking closets and access points to upgrade to the new Wi-Fi 7. That way we can have those no bottlenecks. That's kind of my goal. Any questions?
So the summer work that he's mentioning, is like for new cables, what's the word I'm looking for? New, you're pulling
Yeah, pulling wires.
the wires?
Yeah.
So Louis, you do not have to pull the wires because that's gonna be summer work when the schools are closed, so it won't interrupt. You know, like Joanna Beth, it won't interrupt what's happening.
I'll see you there.
I missed that. What's happening?
I said, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna hold him to it because there's a whole room of people present. He's pulling the wire.
Yeah.
In this conversation,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, hopefully that is moving in the right direction, with the bucket that he said that we have, that we will use. And that will be a better, like an upgrade for our system.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Hopefully with less people around to make it to the ladders and see all the panels and all that, guys.
I'll sweep up after I'm done around that.
All right, take it, Jim. Good. Food service coordinator, Mia Charette. Best buddy of the day.
Hey, everybody. Our team served 4,358 breakfasts and 4,782 lunches in the month of December. Stearns saw a huge uptick in breakfast, which was really great, but all programs are up at least 4% in participation. So we just kind of keep growing incrementally. We're in our third growth cycle in our flex tower. I provided you some pictures from last week. So we have 144 heads of lettuce going downstairs in the cafeteria, which I think is so incredibly cool. Not everybody thinks it's as cool as I do, but that's okay. We'll start harvesting those tomorrow. And we have some basil seedlings, ready to take the place of whatever we harvest tomorrow. So I'm just so excited about it. We're going to help it. And we welcomed our new student kitchen assistant last month. He's been a great addition to our kitchen, and we are just really so excited to be able to offer that opportunity to him and hopefully other students as this program likely catches. And today I did send out forms to teachers to send home to students so that parents can request remote day meals for their students, which hopefully I'll get dispersed within the next 2 weeks. Any questions?
So where the student assistant is going through the ELO, is he being paid through the payment program for 75 hours as well, or is that not okay with this?
We're in the process of getting paperwork done, but
Okay.
it will be, and we have just learned last week that the ELO program can offer stipends, so that's an option, kind of looking at different cases. Yeah, so currently he's working as a volunteer, getting some volunteer hours for his graduation requirement, which is fantastic, and hopefully we'll move into him actually being paid.
Yeah, that's cool. So, yeah.
Excellent.
These are great pictures, and I do love them.
It's a very green and not green time of year.
Facilities director, Puerto Rico.
I had somebody ask me why we had tanning beds down in the cafeteria. Which it does look like an upright tanning bed, so I had to clarify that, we weren't doing tanning.
I'm surprised we haven't been asked what we're growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we have, and I was not aware.
Maybe we should be very careful what we're growing.
So the Christmas break was a good one for us. We love 2-week Christmas breaks because it allows us to get into all the classrooms and do a little cleaning and disinfecting of everything to get ready for the second half of the year. We had a skeleton crew, but we still managed to get into every single room and disinfect and clean and give everything a bit of a facelift. So that was successful. Also during the break, unfortunately, we had a break at Granite Street. Most of my second week of vacation was spent jackhammering up a floor in the classroom to fix a broken steam line that we were hoping was behind a bookshelf. Actually, it was Heather Oakes' old room. We were hoping the break was behind the bookshelf, which we removed all the built-in bookshelves, only to find that the break was 20 feet down the wall under the concrete floor. This is part of like the problem that's happening, as to which we wrote the grant for to hopefully address this in the near future. It's only going to happen more often. It's a big fix when you do it. Fortunately, Honeywell was able to come in and do the piping, I got everything opened up and ready for them, and we were able to get it done and fixed and back for school in the nick of time, a few days prior to school opening. So
Can you remind us when the grant?
Yes, what I was gonna
on
ask.
the 15th
15th?
is, yeah, that's their tentative date to announce the winners of the grant. So fingers crossed on the 15th, we hear something positive on that. And prior to that, just before vacation, Ronnie and I were able to get the gym floor refinished. That is still a job that we do in-house. I do think we are probably one of the very few and only schools in the state that still do that ourselves. And it is a tremendous savings for us doing it ourselves. It's about 60 hours of work between the two of us in 3 days to prep it, and then we come in over a Friday night and a weekend to recoat it, put 2 coats of water-based finish on it. We not only do that to make it look pretty and protect the floor, but it is also a big safety thing to have the non-slip surface there for basketball players. That's really one of the big reasons you do recoat a gym every year, to help prevent ankle injuries. So very pleased that it's a tough thing to schedule because the gym is used constantly and we need to block out a 5 or 6 day window to have access to it. So fortunately, we were able to make that happen this year and get that done. Kevin, we were burning fuel left and right. I hate to tell you, but December was cold. But I'm very pleased. I'm still seeing some positive consumption numbers with the boiler repairs that were made this summer. So we were really, thankfully, having the extreme cold that we did in December, We ran that big boiler harder than we have probably in the last few years and really seen some positive results with the upgrades that were made to it. So that's great. We really have not had any, I knock on wood, any boiler outages that I've had to come over and reset things like last year. I was doing that multiple times a week. And this year I have not actually, I've one time reset the boiler, and that was due to a power outage that caused some freaky things. So great repair there. Our fuel contract this year with Dead River has been great. It's the first time we've been with Dead River in probably 15 years or more. And I am very comfortable with their service. And when I call and need fuel, our tanks have to get down to a certain level, and we only have a couple days operating window before I need it filled. And it's it's just some sleepless nights sometimes when you get storms involved and transportation issues. But Dead River's been absolutely fantastic. I usually get it the very next day. So that's been going well too. So knock on wood, other than winter being winter, it's gone pretty well in our world. Any questions?
Thank you,
All
Louis.
right.
Grand Street School Principal Joanna Mary.
As you can see from my report, we had a great week before Christmas, had one of our great assemblies that we've been having this year. He was able to recognize 78 students who had perfect attendance from our last assembly from November to December. We also collected soup. This time we're going to collect cereal for the pantry. This last week I sent out 3 truancy letters to parents. Last year, for a total, I had 6 truancy letters all year, so it's a little higher, but still a lot lower than it had been the first couple of years I was here. Last month, I sent out 13 letters concerning chronic absences for the end of the trimester, and last year I had sent out 35 for the first trimester, so we're slowly making improvements in our attendance for students. Couple of years ago, when I came on board, we was considered a SIP school, and that would have been what we call a level 1. Last year, we was taken out of it and was considered a level 5, which meant we didn't have to do anything. This year, we are considered a level 4, which means one or more of our populations that they look at has some areas of concerns, but we still do not have to do a whole report and process like we had before. It's still 4 out of 5, so it's still really good ranking. The 5 indicators they look at is chronic absences, progress in English proficiency, academic progress, academic achievement, and graduation rate. So we still are doing quite well with that. One thing I added that I didn't put on the report was over the marathon weekend in the middle school gym, Shelley Farrington put together fundraising because she's really working hard to try to help us create a better playground area over to Granite Street. And with a lot of volunteers, including Hillary Sear, who put up and monitored the Scholastic Book Fair, they was able to raise $1,971 for our playground fund. So big shout out to them and all the volunteers that helped over the weekend. Any questions?
I had a question. Of the 13 and those 35 last year, are these repeat people or are they new people?
Some are repeat, some are, combination. Yeah, we have a few that have chronic absences. And the truancy letters are based on if they have unexcused absences, where the chronic is both unexcused and excused absence.
It's actually a significant difference too, because the 13 out of 35 is just a third.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
And it's based on if they have 10 or more absences within that time period.
10 or more.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Junior, senior high school assistant principal Mick Collins, thank you. Okay, that was all right. Beth Peavy.
First of all, I apologize. Normally, if Mr. Cullen can't be here due to a game, I bring his report and do that too, and today was so busy, we didn't do that, so I just have my own. I wanted to update you on where we are with our curriculum work that we started last year. So our PD leader for this is Heather Gersa. So I just did kind of a brief outline of things we've done, things we're working on, and so the teachers have been creating a testing culture, working on curriculum timelines, learning responses, engagement strategies, the universal design of learning, assessment data, identifying strengths and weaknesses within the curriculum, and then student engagement within the universal design of learning. I mentioned before, Granite Street and Stearns will both be having our NAEP assessment, which is the federal assessment for reading and math, fourth grade and eighth grade. And those will take place in March. So Miss Mary and I have had to enter a whole bunch of data into their site for us so we can get ready for the testing. And we here at Stearns have not had to do the NAEP testing for many, many years. So we are randomly selected. And sometimes it feels like we're not, but I do feel like we were randomly selected this time because it's been a long time. So I brought some news from the SRO. Officer Frank, he is putting together a cadet program. And so it's a hands-on introduction to first responder type agencies. The age range is from 14 to 20. And it will let cadets learn law enforcement basics and on-the-job experiences. So they'll develop leadership skills, life skills, and the program will focus heavily on discipline and responsibility along with teamwork and leadership. They'll be heavily involved in the community, in community engagement, building positive relationships with local agencies. And a big goal of the program is to develop cadets into the workforce, whether it is the police or fire academies or the workforce where they can utilize skills learned in the program. So some of the topics of discussion they'll also meet with local fire and police departments. Some of the agencies that involve specialized units like the K9 and tracking, Baxter State Park Rangers and Maine Warden Service, and even firearm training, including de-escalation techniques on dealing with mental health incidents. Meetings will be every other Tuesday, so 2 nights a month from 6 to 8, and students will need to be able to attend most of all of the classes to graduate from the program. Officer Frank is really excited about this. Our students appear pretty excited about this. We've had, I think he has 10 signed up. He doesn't want it to be a really large class because of all of the different agencies they have to visit. It's a lot to juggle, but I think he may go up as high as 12. I'm not sure, but I'm fairly certain he ended at 10 with signups.
What does graduate mean? What's that mean?
They complete the program. I'm not sure what they receive other than a certificate, but
Right.
with all of the skills that they learn along the way,
Yeah.
then that is a great thing for them to put on the resume.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like hunter safety and things, or first aid, you have a certificate, but it represents something that you have to keep going with.
I think what it will be is a lot of small things like that.
Yeah.
And probably including CPR
Yeah.
and emergency first aid to add all up to someone that's more likely to be accepted into a training program for
Right.
firefighting on law enforcement or and also, like I said, something to put on their resume for someone who wants to go straight into the workforce and
Right.
do more on the job training.
Sounds good.
Can I add to the credential part bit?
Yes.
I've
connected Frank with Katahdin Higher Education Center. And there's working with schools within her scope of the grant to provide micro credentials for these types of things. So that was kind of a hope with that, that there would be a little bit more of that, these extra certifications added to that. So
Excellent, good.
And it's also a way for students who are interested in going into being a first responder to explore a lot of the different avenues that they could do that, whether it's firefighting or game warden or police. I think it'll be great. I agree. It's a great addition to our programming. And then I also gave you a gear up update, update. Student support specialist is now Jessie Page, which is great because she is local. Our student support specialists in the past have come from hours away. So they were great. They came every week and met with our students, but I think having someone in the area, if we needed our student support specialist to come in for something extra or participate with our students in some other way, they have that flexibility and it's much easier on them. So far we have an ongoing one-to-one advising this year with 14 juniors and seniors. FAFSA completion, college acceptances, reference letters, career goals, and networking opportunities. She's visiting the life skills special education group to work with them on post-secondary goals, career aspirations. So the students and teachers and Jessie Page are all working together on that. January 30th, they're doing a trip to DBI in Lincoln. There'll be a site visit and tour for interested welding students, and Chelsea touched on that. So Gear Up and ELO are starting to really work well together, planning out some of these trips and activities, and because they're separate grants, they can figure out ways to make it work to hopefully provide more opportunities for our students. Tentatively, they're looking at a Husson tour to reschedule from the one we had to cancel when we had bad weather. April 1st or 2nd, a engineering day in rural aspiration cohort. So that would be a tour of the engineering department at UM for all grades. And then confirmation for April or May, the Johnson outdoors trip with rural aspirations cohort, and again, all these. So they're doing a lot, they're planning a lot. It's great things for our students. Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Jane, you have something? You didn't take it over.
You didn't get my report? Is that what you said?
That's fine.
It's in the.
It's in the packet they sent, yeah.
Yeah, just not in the agenda.
Okay.
So, did you get there should be a supplemental.
Yes.
Because yours is colored, mine is not.
Yes.
So a couple of exciting things. We have started monthly staff meetings at Stearns as well. So we're doing those 7:15 on Thursday mornings and getting that done. And for CDS, we have Lori Whittemore from the state of Maine is coming on the 21st. She is going of January. She's going to be touring all of the current pre-K programs and then making sure that they align with us taking the 4-year-olds in. So if there's anything that we need to have done ahead of time, we can have like some early allocation of funds. The stickler with that though is I've recently found out if you take them early, it's really early, but you're taking out of your beginning of the year allocations. So if you have it early, then you don't get it at the other time that we may need it to pay staff and things like that. But we've had the programs going anyway, so I'm thinking that we're going to be completely fine. I'm doing that, but she'll be coming, they'll be here 10:30 on the 21st. And we have within your packets, we had a presentation And it's really exciting, like, it's great that you're talking about that at the same time, because this is also serving part of the same population that Europe and ELO. However, this is for any student that has a disability, so as long as a student has a 504 plan or an IEP, then they are automatically eligible, and it's a grant from the Department of Labor, but it came from the Department of Education nationally, and it is a substantial amount of money that was front end loaded. So the state of Maine already has this whole big pocket of money that they're now trying to find districts that they want to partner with. Holton and another district did like a pilot a couple years ago. And so from that, they're extending it. Randy Lee Bishop, the resource teacher for our high school, she connected part of it, didn't realize how big it was. And I get this text message of, I'm meeting with these people and you needed to be here. So she met with them again and they said, oh, we're just gonna stop in. And she's like, they're meeting with me again and you needed to be here. You really missed good cookies. So I'm like, well, good thing I'm gluten-free, so I'll forgive you this time. I can't have them anyway. But the first thing that we did end up meeting with them, Katie Levitt, also had met, with us and we did a virtual meeting. I thought it was going to be the one person that brought the good cookies. And instead we come onto this meeting and we had East and Medway also participate, because this, if you look at the, part on the top of it right here, which is the Pathways to Partnership, it's actually from students, that are 10 all the way up to 24. So when I thought 10-year-olds, so they're doing activities that will bring in middle school age students as well. And so when we all met together, there was probably about 15 of us on this Zoom call. So from Northern Health, we had the Department of Labor on this call, Maine Parent Federation. So there are so many partners. Disability Rights of Maine are included in it. So this is a huge partnership that the state of Maine is doing. And so I'm really excited. They're super excited to be working with us next as a region instead of just one district. And a lot of what I wanted you to see was on the 2-pager of what are some of the services that they're receiving. And there's the benefits counseling, a lot of working on some of those transition plans, part of what Gear Up is working on. With our functional life skills, part of what ELO would be working on, like resume writing. The other thing that I wanted to discuss is that how the process of this is that we give the students the application and then the students apply for it and then they intake with the parents. But it's also talking about how a student can work and then go into adulthood and still get their SSI benefits. Because a lot of people think if my child goes out and works, we lose all of the benefits and the money coming into our housing, which they're trying to dispel that they can still go out, be part of the workforce, still have a lot of those soft skill development and those transitional skills, and still be able to collect their SSI so they can still do both. And where is that line, and talking with them about partial guardianship, full guardianship, because the state of Maine used to be, it was all or nothing. So parents were full guardians or they were partial, not allowed, but now you can be a partial guardianship. So they could have just guardianship over just their accounts or just their medical, those type of things, but then they can become independent in other ways. So what they're trying to do is really try to work with families at getting students to become more independent and working members of society, and what skills do they have to have ahead of time. So that's part of what they do. And there's like all of these kits that they have, like a whole writer for all of this new curriculum that they have, and they just send you the kits. So you say, hey, I'd like to have a kit, and some of the kits like we're on here. And they send everything with it. There's the virtual activities, community engagement, people will come in and speak with you. They have your speakers like all lined up that will visit kind of the virtual classroom for the students. So a lot of different career exploration, but then the financial literacy is part of that banking and everything that I talked about in independent living. But the part that is right above the picture on the back side is the self-advocacy piece that I really want the middle schoolers to have access to. And they actually will come from Maine Parent Federation and Disability Rights are combining efforts on this, and it's all self-advocacy skills. So a lot of our students have a lot of goals that do around with executive functioning and what are some ways for them to be able to learn more about themselves as learners, and what do they have for strengths, what are some needs that they need to have, and who can support them with all of those needs. So they come in person, they do 6 weeks, an hour of training, and they will do that, and then they give them all of the skill sets for them to be able to present in their IEP meetings of this is what I need as a learner, and this is what I need from my school district to help me with in order to be successful. So it is a really neat program that we've just started to look into, tap into. Last week was our meeting, so this week we're getting out some of the applications and who's participating. So just wanted to let you know that that's something new that's being brought in here. And I did not put this on the report, a couple of things that are just new. We were able to have we had talked previously about our alternative program, our Ascent project, that we had a ninth grader from an area district, and we now have one of our ninth graders that has been able to successfully transition into that. And I met with our school social worker today on a different student, and she said, I just have to stop you because the other student that you have enrolled has been so successful, and complete change of student of not coming to school, can't get here, to being at school every day, participating. So we have been able to extend that program to one of our ninth graders as well. And then the only other thing was we just got today, it figured out that we had our self-audit for our monitoring timeline. I didn't have time to add it on there. Is that our fiscal audit is going to be April 16th. And the DOE will come on site, meet with Rhonda tonight at 1:30 on that date. So we have our self-assessment that is our IEP paperwork. And then the fiscal part of it will be on the 16th of April. So.
I have one. You said
Yeah.
self-advocacy, add that word, I can't say it. Was the Maine Federation of what?
There's Maine Parent Federation has a curriculum, and then it's Disability Rights of Maine, both of them. Which excites me because if you've been in education for a little bit of time, you hear disability rights and you hear Maine Parent Federation, and they're the people that come to the meetings to usually fight against the school or the parent, but I love them. Like, I like when they're involved, because in any workshops or anything that's offered of theirs, I try to go to them, because you see that this is what that parent side of what they're advocating for. And I feel the more people advocating for our students, the better for it. So they're the ones that are coming in and have developed all of the curriculum to really have the schools meet the needs of all of the students. The win-win. Right.
Thank you.
All right, I have a few things. Starting off, we have solidified the dangerous behavior procedure. On December 16th, the admin team met and reviewed our definitions and procedures for the difference between an incident and a dangerous behavior. A checklist was developed, and so as we get started in this process, we'll refine it. We'll see if there's other things we need to add or subtract or change the order of which. The assigned public school employees, the APSE, we have the 2 people confirmed.
Yes.
Yes. So we have Amy Anderson and Pam Farquhar and Heather Oak, right? All 3 of you will be like the employee representatives for us. This is a really great. Did you guys do your training on 7?
Our training was canceled. It's
Oh.
on the 28th because
Okay.
of the storm. So we will be traveling to Bangor after school on the 28th.
Okay, so just as soon, this still all holds, just as soon as they have the training on the 28th, we will get together with the representatives that I just mentioned and the admin team. And then we'll be able to kind of take a look and compare notes with the training that they received versus the training that we received and see where we want this to all fall. In my other school district, we recently have accomplished this as well. And I guess fortunately or unfortunately, we actually have tested it out and we've already decided that there's a little bit of an order difference or documentation difference that we want in our checklist. So it will, so we're getting there. We're getting established with that procedure, which feels good. The marathon weekend was very successful. Already mentioned today that Granite Street launched a new way to do fundraising for the playground, and that did turn out very well. A recent sprinkler issue has displaced Sandy Hartley's dance and gymnastic program, and working together to support her students in her programs. I know that several people in this room, including people outside of this room, have had conversations in order to be able to support that program. And I just wanted to mention it, note it, because that's our school system, our town school, our town's kiddos, plus others coming in, working collaboratively with Sandy in order to be able to, for her to continue to operate her business. But it's a business that supports our kids and our families, so we're happy to be able to have it. I see Sandy's on the screen. So Sandy, is there anything you'd like to add to that? Yes. This wasn't planned, so that's fine.
Yes, it wasn't planned, sorry. No, I just,
Can you turn your volume up, Sandy?
I think it's.
I
our
can
volume.
try.
Oh, it's us.
Yeah, I think so.
Just one moment.
Sure.
Try again.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I really appreciate everyone working with me, trying to find a new temporary location, over the next few months. We are, we really are, sorry, I didn't expect to be talking. We, we are just trying to find something temporary. I appreciate any help that you can give us. We were looking at Granite Street School, and I spoke to Louis yesterday and Joanna, and we went in and looked at some options. So I'm hoping that will work for everyone. And if you have any questions, please feel free.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Sandy. Really, the purpose of bringing this up was that it's a cooperation between a valued business that provides a service for our community and our school. So we are glad that you felt comfortable reaching out, and I thank a lot of the people in the room again who've had all these conversations. So
Thank you. And thank you very much.
You're welcome. I met with Medway and East Millinocket Superintendent recently to talk about our continued path forward. If you remember a couple of meetings back, we all voted, same questions on what we're going to be looking forward to. We also had a meeting with the facilitators on December 9th to look at what the next steps are. And so we're waiting on them. It's in their seat next, the facilitators, to set some meetings up for the next round of gathering data. Also attended a Penquist meeting on December 18th. And some of the information shared there was on, one of them was on the testing platform. So teachers, this is not something you want to hear, I don't think, but once again, the state of Maine has our contract for NWEA has come to its end. So once again, they're back to the place of looking at whether or not what testing format they're going to, I know it's frustrating, but we do this over and over again. And the state of Maine is one of very few states that actually wants our state standards into the national standards. And so that creates an issue every time the RFP runs out. So they did tell us again on December 18th that they're working on that. We do not know what that's going to look like. But there were probably 30 people in the room, and we all just had the reactions you guys did of like, you're kidding me, you know, like, here we go again, we know we know what our standards are, we know the goal we're going for. So we'd like them to get more stability in what they're doing so that we can compare from year to year or grade spans to grade spans. So that's happening. They told us a little bit about that. And the reason why it's happening right now is because one company sold out to another company. So the new company is trying to figure out like part of what that's going to look like. So again, we're all kind of caught in the cross of that, but that's the scenario that they told us. CTE is still looking at funding. The DOE tabled the self-insurance plan conversation as they continue to gather more information. The DOE funding formula is continuing to be discussed, will not be affecting this year's subsidy because there's not time, as he grins, of course it's not, right? There just isn't any time for them to input the data that we have currently into something that might be a potential system without understanding what the ramifications of that are going to be. They continue to look at the homeschooling updates. I think I told you a couple meetings ago that this pendulum is kind of shifting from one side to the other. And they're really not sure where that's going. With the legislative season just opening up, we anticipate that we'll see some pieces of legislation out there and not sure what exactly that's going to look like. Region 3 meeting is happening on January 26th to look at what we want to adopt for a calendar. They will give us their input because remember, we can only have so many dissimilar days. All of that has to be done before March. We need it back in our system in order for us to all review it and for the association to have input and then for us to come back and vote. So there's multiple steps once we see what they're proposing on the 26th. But that is in the works. Had a communication meeting today. We made a couple of, we looked at our last meeting's information, looked at what's happening with things like our app, our website, other ways that we're communicating by paper, talked about newspaper, all of those things and trying to see what ways we want to go forward. And part of the reason why we're interested in what we want to go forward with is how do we communicate to our parents, the working citizens of our community, the business citizens of our community, some of the retirees, like how do we communicate the wonderful things happening in our system? Because we know they're happening and that was brought up in the communication meeting. But we don't know how to contact everybody. We want them to know what they're buying, right? So it's kind of like buying a car. We want to know what the options are. We're trying to find a way for our community to know what the options are. What are the great things happening pre-K through 12 in our system? Why does it matter? Because we're also working on budgets. So as our budget season comes up and we do our own budget work here, we then go to the town council and we have to buy that car, right? We have to let people know what the options are and what we're doing. So part of the communication meeting today is how do we get that information out there? So we're going to try a few things. Somebody walked away with, I'm going to contact the TV stations. How come some school systems in our area get some TV time? We don't know why, we don't know what the connections are, but we certainly do things that are worthy of that. We have a great opportunity with our newspaper to put stories in, and they're always well represented and accurate, but we're just looking for other ways. This morning I met with Angus King III, gubernatorial candidate, to discuss challenges in education. Some of the things that I identified on my list with him were funding, attracting and retaining quality teachers, training for ed techs, bus driver training, special education rules and laws, NWEA testing and the inconsistency, certification, aging buildings. This was about an hour and 20-minute conversation. We talked about local economy, enrollment, DHHS, homeschoolers, high set, outdoor ed, a focus on reading and math. If any of you saw the recent news article that was out there for Mississippi, and the fact that they've gone from being like 46 to number 9, and their focus was on reading and math to be proficient by grade 3. and they have, all their legislation has backed, their efforts to make sure of that. This conversation with Mr. King is nonpartisan. There were no pictures taken, there's no article written, there was nothing public about it. The point was the MEA put out an offering for school districts to accept gubernatorial candidates to come to school and have these conversations to find out what's happening, what do we need them to look like, should this candidate get in, what do we need them to be part of? So the whole conversation was driven by what our lists were, and there were only 3 of us in the room. So we got a lot of coverage of the things that are important to us. In my position, I was lucky that I'm aware of, as most of you are, that Prescott and Caribou, 2 schools that were never intended to be together, are talking about being together. Holton and Hodgson announced last Friday that they're looking at combining. Who would have thought that? Katahdin Schools is looking at taking 1 school, and there's 2 schools, so perhaps putting it into 1. Their enrollment has dropped by almost 50. And then we have all of the conversations happening with East Medway and East Millinocket and Millinocket. So in just those miles, however many miles that is from Caribou to here, there's all kinds of scenarios, and most of the things on this list are why. Right? Funding formula, enrollment, teachers, those are the reasons why people are having to look at making changes. So I think that's all with that. It was a very interesting conversation. I was going to mention that the pre-K applications, commitment letters, and whatnot are all set, but Jan, you mentioned that we're already ready for our review of materials and goods, so that's great. And I think that's it.
Upcoming meetings. February 10th, 2026, March 10th, 2026, April 7th, 2026, May 5th, 2026, and June 2nd, 2026. Any motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second. So I did forget something. But in your packet, it's all right. In your packet, you've got several reports. I remember a while ago, I told you that with the extracurricular and co-curricular, we're kind of trying to collect data, see where the kids' interests are, do some comparisons of like how the season went, what the skill building and whatnot was. So there's a packet in your folder with all of those that we can look at as well.
Any discussion on adjournment? Yes. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I do have one more thing. Okay, I'll put it in for next time.
Thank you, guys.
I have to do a little.